Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW slash NJPW Forbidden Door pay per view from June 26, 2002, from Chicago, Illinois, in the United Center. Sold out in 4 hours or so. And wow, it just finished. I'm just getting on the air as it finishes, and crazy, crazy show. For anybody that just really, it's not even just the NJPW fans, it's just kind of like a whole celebration of. Um, I don't even know if I want to say almost not really like anti WWE, but just like that spirit that we've had. It's the spirit of NXT Black and Gold. It's the spirit of Impact and Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, which a lot of us got into through a lot of the Bullet Club and Fergal Devitt, Prince Devitt doing his thing, now Finn Balor, and just all that amalgamation of um, now we got like the Rev Pro with the British having a good indie scene in the last few years, bringing up this high quality professionals and just this huge, just melting pot of everything you can imagine. We've got NJPW guys that spent most of their career in Dragon Gate and people that have come back and forth from Noah. So just a little bit of everything represented here. And that's why I never really like when um especially when like WWE fans would like to say, "Oh, well, you guys got WWE guys, CM Punk and Bryan Danielson over in AEW." Well, my argument would be, well, no, WWE had two ROH guys in WWE. Yeah, sure, WWE is the biggest company and they get the most eyeballs, so they became bigger stars because of the fact that they have more eyeballs on them from that company. But still, it's just this huge amalgamation of every company ever. It's not even was CM Punk a Ring of Honor guy, or was he that? I think it was ICW Midwest where he was training with Axel Rotten, or I mean Ace Steel. So um, it was just a great celebration of wrestling tonight. Great. There was really almost no complaints. I know there was going to definitely be some major complaints from hardcore New Japan Pro Wrestling fans that don't really follow AEW or aren't really big fans of AEW, and they were already kind of leery of this pay per view as it was. And I'll get into it, but they're gonna find a few complaints, and you'll definitely hear about that from that point of view. Like if you listen to the J Cast, they're definitely going to complain about a few things, and I'll point those out as we go. The buy-in show I'll cover as well. That was also a really good to watch and get you hyped for the pay-per-view. And I'm gonna do a lot of recapping since there's not a ton to review other than saying like go watch this match. It was amazing. So most of it's going to be me recapping the matches, noting any interesting things that happened, and then I'll look into, well, where do they go from here for each match. So after I go through each match and stuff, before I get to the next match, I'll just do a brief, where do they go from here? What's next for them? Whether it's a New Japan guy or a AEW guy. So that should be pretty fun as we go through there. I didn't really plan out or write down anything to say about what I think in the future. So I'm just as excited to think through it as you guys might be to hear it. So let's just get into it. We're gonna start with the buy-in and just go from there. There's too much to cover here, too much exciting stuff. Let's just get right to it. So no recap videos to start the buy-in, which was really nice. If you remember during the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, they had a pretty long recap sequence of almost 20 minutes, maybe first half hour was all recaps. But this one, no recaps to start. And we've got Excalibur, Taz, and Kevin Kelly on commentary. And this is, these three will stay for the entire pay per view. And it was a really, really good commentary team. They also get cameo appearances from Tony Schiavone for one match so that he could say, it's Sting. Uh, and he even joked that that's the only reason he was there for that match. And then JR came out halfway through the event and called some of the or all the main event matches and stuff. So, but anyway, Excalibur and great as usual. You knew he would be there with all the info. Taz, he was great to have on this show. There's a lot of submissions, a lot of holds that he loves to call, like all the Ujigroshis, this and the double necktie, this and that. So that was great. And plus you got to hear it was just, especially if you're a New Japan fan, it was really great to hear some of Taz's reactions to all the New Japan guys. like Taz loved all the cocky guys like El Phantasmo and Will Ospreay and stuff like that, and he was getting a kick out of that stuff. So then, of course, Kevin Kelly, the third one that was always there tonight, and he is the lead English commentator for all the New Japan shows, and a lot of the time is there live. So Kevin Kelly goes all the way back. I know Kevin Kelly from back when The Rock was calling him Hermes on like Raw back in the 90s. So cool to see Kevin Kelly here. He's been doing New Japan shows for 6-7 years now. QT Marshall and Aaron Solo and the factory music is how we kick off this event. That's pretty funny. This is mostly a thank you, QT, for running the training facility and stuff like that. Like, I know QT Marshall can go. He's pretty good in the ring, but and so is Aaron Solo, but definitely there could have been a lot of other people in this match against Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. Like, I would have picked maybe the Varsity Blondes or numerous other tag teams on the roster before I would have picked QT Marshall. Or what happened? Where the heck is Private Party, bro? So anyway, QT gets his thanks for running the training facility match here. And we note a couple things since this is the first match. We note that we have two ring announcers. We've got our normal Dapper Yapper, and then we've got a Japanese representative. So he'll repeat in Japanese the entrances throughout the night for every match. And then also the entrance ramp looks amazing, kind of almost like the LED board on the ramp is so crystal clear and like cool looking that it almost looks like they're walking on water, if that makes any sense, even if it's not like water underneath them showing. And then the crowd is super hyped. So a couple things to note here. And the crowd does maintain their hypeness throughout this entire event. This is definitely a crowd that, remember, this sold out in 4 or 5 hours. This crowd is completely into New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan guys got some of the bigger cheers throughout the entire night, but this crowd is also New Japan fans that like AEW. So they all showed the AEW guys proper respect when they needed to, even if maybe they didn't get the win they wanted with the New Japan guy or stuff like that. So for the most part, everybody getting cheered except for people like QT Marshall and Jericho. So Solo is so Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto come out, and they're from the Chaos Stables, so they are kind of teammates of Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero, who we'll see later on. So if needed, Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto are on the back if those guys need him later. But anyway, Solo starts out and gets the better Yoshihashi until Yoshi can counter. Then he tags in Goto. Goto gets better luck, and QT comes in, and the fans chant Goto at this point. QT does a super sketchy looking. It looked really botched. Slow motion cartwheel into a dive to the outside where QT almost lands on his head. It was super sketchy. That's the only word that comes to mind is sketchy. He pulls it off, but wow. Take that out of the arsenal, QT. Anyway, Solo and QT try to do a double team, but Goto fights out of that. Eventually, Goto gets isolated with quick tags, and Goto drops Solo on the back of his head for the second time in a row. So 2 times in a row there, but QT tags in before Goto can get the hot tag. So eventually Goto counters and gets Yoshihashi in. Some big chops and a back body drop by Yoshihashi. A beautiful headhunter blockbuster off the middle rope by Yoshi. Solo's able to make the save on the pinfall, and then a beautiful dive to the outside on the both guys. QT does a so QT just came out like I don't know what he was thinking tonight. So all of a sudden QT goes to the top rope and hits a, again, almost in slow motion, 450 splash, but thankfully Yoshihashi is able to get out of the way. Solo gets caught alone with a double team finisher now, and Yoshihashi gets the pinfall for the first one of the night. Pretty good start to this match. Like I said, Varsity Blondes, Private Party, just for a quick example. I know in a perfect world we would have had the Lucha Brothers on this card somewhere, but they were banned alongside Andrade from their affiliation with the AAA promotion, and then New Japan has a affiliation with the rivals of AAA in Mexico, CMLL. So anyway, that we go and get a hype video from the IWGP World Heavyweight 4-Way title match. So we do get a little bit of videos and stuff here. I think it was the same one we saw on not the Road to show, but the Countdown show. And then next is an unannounced match. So we do get an unannounced singles match on the pre-show. And you'll never guess what music plays next. It's the Factory's music, everybody's favorite, and it's Nick Camarado. So Nick Camarado comes out. Sadly, it's not Anthony Ogogo. No Anthony Ogogo with him at all. And of course, no Nick Camarado. Rarely would you see him not have backup, but his other two guys just got beat up. So, quick note on Anthony Ogogo: he's been improving in the ring big time, and he was amazing on commentary. One of the best ever, other than Ricky Starks, that they've had on Dark doing commentary. I think it was Dark Elevation. Anyway, Nick's opponent is going to be Lance Archer, and that gets a big cheers from this crowd. Lance Archer definitely more well received with the NJPW fans, especially the Japanese fans. Out of all the surprise announcements for G1 this year, when in the Japanese crowd cheered the loudest and went crazy actually when Lance Archer's name was announced. He's a big deal over there. Anyway, Archer comes down and he cannonball, like springboards into the ring and cannonballs into Nick Camarado, which was pretty cool. If you haven't seen or don't know who Nick Camarado is, he's pretty big dude, almost the same size as Lance Archer. So pretty big guy. We got a big hoss match here, and it actually gets some length and is a little bit more even than I would have imagined. I thought Nick Camarado was just going to get easily squashed, but they protected Nick with a pretty good match here. They both chop each other. We get Nick gorilla pressing Lance Archer. That was a really big show of strength there, but Lance is able to slip out before any damage is done. Lance then gets countered and thrown out to the ringside barricade. Nick goes out and slams Archer into the apron, and the crowd's booing the heck out of him. They don't want to see factory guys beating their New Japan guys. So Nick talks some trash and pulls on Lance Archer's beard. That was pretty funny. This fires up Archer, but Nick hits a real big backbreaker, and now the crowd is quiet. Like they're like, "What's going on?" Nick Camarado. So that was kind of funny too. The crowd just went dead quiet. Nick talks trash to the crowd, and then they get really loud and start a chant for Archer. So really good job by Nick Camarado there to get the crowd on back in it. They get, like I said, they got deathly quiet when the comeback failed and Nick Camarado started to heat again. So Nick showed the strength, or like a veteran move there, and he's not very he only has a few years. Anyway, Lance gets his comeback cut short again and the crowd boos. Uh but Lance is able to counter a move into a modified choke slam, kind of like just a choke. Not really lifting, but just slam down kind of deal. And this buys Archer enough time to recover. Both men get up and exchange strikes for a while. Stiff shots, too. Like I said, Nick Camarado, Lance Archer, unannounced match. Really big hoss battle here. Archer builds up some steam and climbs the ropes, maintaining wrist control. So if you've seen Lance Archer matches, you know what was coming next. Lance Archer walks the tight ropes and does a moonsault on the Nick Camarado, only for a 2 count. Nick counters the next move and hits a running power slam for a 2 count. So this is when I write surprisingly even match here. Camarado even got a near fall. So Nick pulls himself up to the top rope. It's hard to explain, but he basically pulled and flipped himself with his power up to the top rope in one motion. Archer meets him up there and hits a blackout from the top rope. Archer was standing on the ground, so not much different than a regular blackout, but crowd enjoyed it. Impromptu match for Lance Archer there, and anybody that bought this pay-per-view on New Japan World in Japan, because they didn't get it for free, they had to buy it as well. So anybody that got it and saw Archer, or maybe they were watching the pre-show and thinking about buying it, that might have hyped them up for that. But the crowd liked it as well. And I know here that Nick Camarado definitely is going to be good in like a year or two, more than likely like 2 or 3 years until he's like really good. If you remember, Lance Archer's like a 20-year veteran at this point. I was there. I've been watching TNA Weekly, or I gave up at points, but I was watching Weekly since 2004, and this guy named Dallas comes in, and he's Kid Cash's cousin, and they win the tag titles at a point too, and that's what ends up being Lance Archer. He eventually gets a tramp stamp, and he gets made fun of that, but all of a sudden he got a cult following, and there was people in the crowd in the Impact Zone wearing Hoyt Amania shirts because he went from Dallas to his real name, Lance Hoyt. He went from there to a failed WWE run, and then went over to New Japan and created a name for himself, tag teaming as the Killer Elite Squad with Davey Boy Smith Jr. the British Bulldog's son. So really big career invention. He has a whole late career ahead of him here. Archer's definitely on the end of it now, but he's been going strong for a while after being just this Kid Cash cousin guy on Impact so many years ago, like '05. Anyway, we get a video package about the Osprey and Orange match. And all these videos were on the Countdown show, like I said. In the back, Clark Connors has a little promo here. He doesn't just say too much of note, but he says he wants to shock the world and win the All Atlantic title. So pretty generic promo, but he said it with conviction and stuff. So now the next pre-show match or the buy-in match is El Desperado and Kanemaru out to some real big cheers. I'm glad they added them to gave them a match on the card, especially since El Desperado showed up on Dynamite when it was announced that Jericho was teaming with or had the association with Suzuki Gun and was teaming with Minoru Suzuki tonight. So big cheers for Swerve as well when he comes out, and even bigger cheers for Keith Lee. So this is when I know people are definitely just here for a good time. They're just cheering everybody, unless it was like those factory guys or Jericho. Um, a big Who's House, Swerve's House chant here. So it's going to be Swerve in Our Glory versus Suzuki Guns, El Desperado, and Kanemaru. Lee starts out with Kanemaru, and Keith Lee makes fun of Kanemaru's size. So Kanemaru goes up to the middle rope to be even taller, and then sucker punches Keith Lee and starts with the advantage. But Keith Lee's able to get control right away after that, and Swerve and Desperado both tag in. So we get a numero dos street muffler attempt, like the old Brock lock, on the leg. Attempted anyway by Desperado, but Swerve gets free. But then Swerve goes to the outside, and Desperado follows Swerve out there and puts the stretch muffler on the leg of Swerve. So back in the ring now, Swerve takes control and hits a nice drop kick. Keith Lee holds Desperado for Swerve to hit from the apron on the outside, but a big drop kick from Swerve hits Keith Lee as Desperado gets out of the way. So teasing that it's not going to be too long until Swerve and Keith Lee are feuding. So Keith Lee is now acting like his knee is super injured from that. But he had already tagged in before that move, like a blind tag. So Keith is now selling the knee, and he gets worked over by Kanemaru. Kevin Kelly mentions what I've been saying, and if you've been following my New Japan reviews, that on the semifinals when Kanemaru fought Ishii, what I was noting is that despite Ishii winning that match, Kanemaru really worked over Ishii's knee that whole match. And then when it got to the Clark Connors match the next night in the finals, Ishii versus Clark Connors, they never once worked on the knee. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? So apparently, Ishii just got his knee injured in that semifinals while Kanemaru was working it over for real. Either that, or some people were saying rumors that maybe just Ishii didn't want to go to America this time. I doubt that, but anyway, going back to this, Keith is able to all right, where was I? Oh yeah, so Keith Lee's holding the knee and Kanemaru's working it over. So Suzuki gonna try a double team move, but Keith overpowers them. Keith's able to tag out. Swerve comes in and takes down both Suzuki Gun members. A big uppercut into a diving uppercut off the top rope, and they both counter suplexes, but Swerve's able to hit a nasty brainbuster anyway. So just taking it to Suzuki Gun here. Desperado kicks out at 2, but he's hurting here. And Desperado fights back with a great looking spine buster. So a little back and forth here. Damn, sorry, I keep losing my way here. We get a big uppercut into a diving uppercut off the top rope. And then that spine buster, like I said, Keith Lee tries to come back to the ring, but the ropes Keith Lee tries to come back in, but then Desperado hits the ropes and right to the yam bag. So Keith Lee goes right back out. And Desperado and Swerve battle until both men are down, looking to get tagged out. Keith Lee is then too strong for Kanemaru, but Kanemaru outsmarts Keith Lee and gets him in a leg lock. So Desperado then gets that stretch muffler back onto Swerve, and Keith Lee is able to goozle Kanemaru off of the submission hold that he had. So Kanemaru then goes for a sunset flip, but that failed miserably. It was on Keith Lee, and Keith Lee sets him up for a power bomb for a double team move with Swerve, but they're able to counter that. So Connemara was able to get over to his whiskey bottle and he spits it into the eyes of Keith Lee. This is Connemara's finisher. His finisher is the whiskey spit to the eyes, and Keith Lee is just barely able to kick out. And Taz tells us that, oh man, this happened to me at a bar before, which is hilarious. And then all of a sudden, Swerve stops Desperado from the apron, or stomps. Like, it was hard to explain, but Desperado's like hanging on the apron, like over, like he's set up perfectly for the stomp, like all the way to the outside, and then Keith Lee slams Connemara down for the 1, 2, 3. Swerve and Our Glory win, but again there was teasing tension, and it can't be long until Keith Lee's gonna snap and just destroy Swerve, or it's just gonna be an amazing match. He's probably gonna. Well, is Keith Lee gonna be the heel though? It'll be interesting to see where they go. If Keith Lee snaps, is he really the heel, or? But before we can even think about that, we hear a voice, and we're not quite sure what it is. But when we get a picture up to the very top of the arena, and it's a skybox with Hobbs and Starks, and it was Hobbs talking, and Hobbs says, since they're in Chicago, that him and Starks are Jordan and Pippen, which gets huge boos from the crowd. And Stark starts talking trash to Swerve and Keith Lee and says that, well, if you guys are Kobe and Shaq, then and we're Jordan and Pippen, well, then let's answer that age-old question. So after this match, we get the challenge laid down. One final match to end it all, apparently. Maybe they'll add a stipulation on at the end, but Swerve and Our Glory versus Team Taz, Hobbs and Starks. That'll be good. Maybe it'll be on Wednesday, or maybe in a little bit longer. Next, we got an 8-man tag. So this is the last buy-in match. And first out, all the 4 guys from the NJPW LA Dojo, and you can find them on NJPW Strong. That's a weekly television 1-hour show they run on NJPW World, and it's taped here in America. These last set of tapings were in Philadelphia, and the last night's main event was crazy. Definitely go check that out. It was Filthy Tom Lawler defending the strong open weight title against Fred Rozier, formerly known as Darren Young in WWE. And that match was crazy. Another one just like the main event tonight, with a lot of blood spilled, and big time match there. So check that out. Anyway, these are guys we see on Strong a lot. It's the DKC, who we saw lose in like only a minute to Hook on Rampage, Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, and Yuya Uemura. And then Max Caster's music hits, and him and the whole crew come out. Uh, they and then okay, so I didn't write down the whole rap, but basically Max says we're putting 4 more guys on the injured list. They're probably in the LA dojo watching hentai, and they're washing Shibata's balls. So that was pretty funny. All pretty funny stuff. Danhausen appears on a video now and says "ass boys" over and over, and then music. I forgot this even happened. And then music starts playing that's like "we're the ass boys" and stuff like that over and over. And this makes Austin and Colton run to the back, and we never see them again in this match. So they're just gone. Maybe they've been cursed. But the 4 LA Dojo guys jump Billy and Max. We got a 4-on-2 match, handicap match here, and the bell rings. Alex Coughlin is the biggest one here, and he's really good. He throws around both Billy and Max with some nice throws. Colton and Austin are just gone forever. Good double team moves by Uemura and Kevin Knight. Uemura dominates Max Caster and then tags in DKC. Max is just isolated forever. Quick tags by the LA Dojo. They all show a little bit of their moves. Max finally gets the tag over the Billy. Billy hits the Famouser to the DKC, then tags in Max Caster. 1, 2, 3, 2-on-4 handicap match is won by Max Caster and Billy Gunn. So we don't ever hear about Colton and Austin or Danhausen again tonight. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Now we're up to the regular pay-per-view. Let me get a drink. Wow, this pay-per-view was great. So we get Big Pyro to kick off the start of the pay-per-view. And like I said, it's the same announcers as the buy-in. And we get that Jericho Appreciation Society. Sorry, Chester. When the contract expires with AEW, No updates that I've heard. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. But that is interesting to note since what happened in the main event. But yeah, like I said, the pyro kicks off the pay-per-view and we hear the Jericho Appreciation Society intro and then Judas plays. So Sammy, Ty Conte, and Jericho out. And note that Jericho has Floyd the Bat. Note that for later. You know that anytime you see Floyd the Bat. So the crowd sings along to Judas, of course, but then Kazo Nino Ray hits and the crowd cheers super loud. And we get the full Minoru Suzuki entrance and pageantry, and just that would have been one of the moments of the night if you were there live for sure. Shota Umino comes out now. There's respectful cheers, I'll call it. Not very loud, but respectful cheers. A big pop for Wheeler Yuta when he comes out. I like his new music. I'm not quite sure about the Paul Burchill unsheathing of the sword sound at the very beginning, but the actual music is good. Massive cheers for when Eddie Kingston comes out, and Yuta and Sammy are going to start this match out, but Jericho tags right in. So he pie faces Yuta, and Yuta hits a nice drop kick, and then six German suplexes in a row on Jericho. Yuta did go for a seventh, but Jericho elbows his way out of there, then immediately gets slammed and put in a crossface by Yuta. So Yuta just really taking it to Jericho at the beginning here. And Sammy comes in to save Jericho, and then all hell just breaks loose. So everyone's brawling on the outside. Eddie takes a hard shot on the outside. It looked really painful. The announcers are really putting it over like, oh, that looked painful for Eddie. I didn't even really see what happened. He just got slammed. But back in the ring, Sammy and Jericho are double teaming Yuta now. Sammy gets tagged in, but Eddie runs in and tackles Sammy. So Eddie's definitely not down. The referee gets Eddie out, and Sammy hits a corkscrew drop kick. Hard to explain, but that's what he did. And then Yuta hits a slam followed by a senton. So Yuta's just really showing up here. He did get some extra training over at the Best of the Super Juniors in New Japan just of last month. I think he had something like um 8 or 9 matches in a 3-week span or something ridiculous, all really good matches. So that just helps you train even more, which was a perfect choice for Tony Khan to send Yuta. Even if they weren't asking for Yuta, Tony Khan might have said, can you take Yuta? And that just gave him extra expedited training where we kind of pushed Yuta really heavily here. So now he's going to be hanging with the big boys, and that was the perfect amount of training. So Yuta looked great here anyway. um Sorry, I just clicked a little bit away. But yeah, so Shota Umino tags in, and Shota beats up Sammy while staring down Jericho. If you remember the whole Jericho beating up Shota Umino in front of his father, which is the head referee of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Red Shoes is his nickname anyway. Jericho tags in and lights up Shota's chest with some chops. Shota then puts the boots to Jericho and tags in Kingston as much. So Shota knows as much as he wants revenge with Jericho that Kingston must have told him, "You got to give me Jericho, man," in the back, you know. So Jericho tags out and Suzuki's in. So business is about to pick up. JR would have said if he was there on commentary for this match. And they have a chop to the chest battle. It didn't quite go as long as the Samoa Joe Suzuki chop battle. That was crazy on Dynamite a few months ago. But Eddie's are way louder. He's getting some real loud chops on Suzuki. Then Eddie does the machine gun chops in the corner, but Suzuki no sells it and hits one big forearm, the crumple Eddie Kingston down to the ground, and a huge Suzuki chant breaks out. So he picks up Eddie by the nose and tags in Jericho to big boos. So they're down with Suzuki, but not Jericho. This crowd. Jericho takes it to Eddie Kingston now. Suzuki gets Kingston now trapped in the hold while he was hit, on the apron, stuck in the ropes. So that was pretty cool. Jericho's now talking trash to Kingston and elbows him in the ribs multiple times. Suzuki tags in and knocks out both Yuta and Shota off the apron, and then covers Kingston, who gets a kick out at 2. So Suzuki's showing his veteran presence here before taking out both guys from the apron. Suzuki then gets Matamagani. I know I said that wrong on Kingston, but that was really cool looking. Jericho and Sammy put submissions on Yuta and Shota now, so we've got 3 people in submission. Eventually, the ring clears, and Sammy is now the legal man. Eddie catches Sammy off the top ropes and transitions it beautifully into a suplex. Very fluid on that. Really nice looking. And Shota then gets the tag, some big cheers, and he takes it right to Jericho, who was on the apron, and then hits a big diving forearm, Cesaro style. So, like, when they're on a seated opponent and you do the diving uh, uppercut or forearm type deal. Then we get a back elbow to Suzuki, and the fisherman suplex bridged into a pin, but Jericho's able to save. Sammy hits a shooting star press off the top to Sammy. That was amazing. I mean, Sammy didn't hit the Sammy. It must have been the Yuta. Oh no, because I don't know who Sammy hit it to, but then we get a flurry of dives. That's why I didn't have the time to go back. Because then Yuta hits the dive to Sammy, and Eddie then dives out to Sammy. So we get so it was all three members hitting Sammy in a row, and then all of a sudden Minoru Suzuki act like he's gonna dive, but of course stops and says like hell no, basically. Yuta then takes out Suzuki and gets tagged in. Crazy stuff here. Great match so far. Jericho has to break up a crossbody pin that was pulled off. So Sammy kicks out of another pin and then hits a standing Spanish fly to finally buy himself some time. But before that, Eddie had a blind tag before that move even was pulled off. So he puts the stretch plum on Sammy, and Suzuki is able to save Sammy, but gets taken out with a spinning back fist from Kingston. That was huge. And then everyone hits. This is another moment where I couldn't write down everything. Everyone hits big moves, like in a just 3 second span, and all six men are down on the mat. So big cheers from the crowd. We get an AEW chant. Shota and Mino tags in and goes tries to put the walls of Jericho on Jericho, which that was like when Jericho beat down Shota and Mino in New Japan in front of his father. That's basically what he was doing. He was had him in the walls of Jericho forever while he was screaming. But he goes for the walls. Jericho goes for the walls here. My apologies, but Shota's able to block it, and Jericho immediately hits a code breaker. Only a 2 count. Jericho gets some nasty knees to Shota's head and goes up to the top rope. Not often we see Jericho go to the top rope anymore. Shota meets Jericho up there and hits an avalanche power slam. Looked really nice. Sammy and is able to, or Sammy and Suzuki are make the save and then brought to the outside. So all kinds of craziness. Now Tai Conti's distracting Yuta, and she has Floyd the Bat with her. So she's been holding it this whole time on the outside. Yuta then gets taken out by Sammy while Tai distracted him, and Jericho goes for a lion salt, but Eddie was on the outside and is able to block it slash like hit Jericho. Floyd the Bat now from Sammy to Shota Umino's back, but Shota pretty much no sells it and fights quickly back up, hits a brainbuster. Shota does on Jericho, and Jericho's just barely able to kick out. Some great stuff here. Shota really looking strong. The announcers put over earlier that they think he could definitely be one of the main event players in a few years' time, especially like they were thinking like a 5-year plan, basically. So Shota, now this is the part where Shota gets the walls on Jericho. He's getting a little bit of justice from 5 years ago. I think it was 5, maybe 4 years ago. And Sammy kicks Shota's head, but Shota no sells it and keeps the walls applied. So Suzuki has to come in, and one big headbutt sends Shota crumpling to the mat. A gotch style pile driver to Kingston from Suzuki now. Sammy and Suzuki go for a double team, but Shota fights back again. But a Judas effect from Jericho out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Jericho pins Shota Umino. And weirdly, that's not the last of those two tonight. So stay tuned for that. But Jericho Appreciation Society get the man advantage on Wednesday. And as I'm writing that here in my notes, Kevin Kelly steals Excalibur's line saying that Jericho Appreciation Society are getting the man advantage on Wednesday. And you can even hear Excalibur kind of pause. Like he says, like, oh, because like Excalibur was about to say that exact thing. So that was pretty funny. Kevin Kelly, if you've ever heard him in New Japan, you already know that he's amazing. But if you've never heard him before, Kevin Kelly knew everything about the AEW product. Either did his homework really well or more so, I'm guessing he's just a big fan of wrestling, so he watches AEW every week. And we go to a video package about the three-way title match, so that's going to be next. Roppongi Vice come out, and the ring announcer for this match is Bobby Cruz from ROH. So throwing in the ROH guys, which also what's his name? Caprice Coleman comes out and does announcing. Who Caprice Coleman is great, and Caprice Coleman and Kevin Kelly were the announcers of ROH as well. So they were excited to call this match together alongside the rest of the guys that were there. Taz and Excalibur. Roppongi Vice are out, like I said. United Empires, Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan come out to some big cheers. And two-time IWD, they're the two-time IWGP Tag Champs. Just won them back, looking for their first ever ROH title. FTR come out to big cheers. I definitely hope they win. FTR with the IWGP tag titles just sounds right. And then if we can get some FTR matches in New Japan, that even sounds more right. So we've got FTR sections in the sign. So for, I think, the second match in a row, I say Cesaro style, because remember Cesaro had the Cesaro section, like the little tiny paper signs. That's what they had here, saying FTR section with 7 stars on them, 7-star FTR. So and then I know once FTR gets to the ring, I say, wow, FTR is not only wearing their ROH titles, but they are wearing their AAA tag team titles. And if you remember, Andrade and the Lucha Brothers were banned from the show because of their affiliation with AAA. So um, that was just a really ballsy move by FTR, and maybe a show of solidarity for the Lucha Brothers and Andrade being banned. So I just gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. I had a few beers during the show tonight. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, super ballsy move by FTR to bring the titles out. I love that, the AAA titles. I mean, but yeah, Coleman brings up that Rocky and Trent never broke up their tag team in Roppongi Vice, if you remember. And I didn't remember till he brought it up that they basically only broke up Roppongi Vice because Trent Beretta wanted to go and be a heavyweight, and Rocky's just like too small to be a heavyweight. Although Rocky here with a chance to win the heavyweight tag titles, so that's pretty interesting. I'm glad he brought that up. Sorry, just trying to catch my breath. And now they go for the heavyweight titles, which is now that they're back together. So really cool storyline there. And this match is going to be triple threat, but only 2 men in the time, one fall to a finish. So it's going to be a constant thing of you really only want to tag your partner in, but other people are going to blind tag you and try and get in themselves, since there's only 2 men at a time. And then they have a few blind tags right off the bat as we're getting the feeling out process. We're also showing showing everybody that the blind tags is going to be a gimmick of this match, or like part of the story. So Cash starts with some nice chops to Rocky, and then a double team move when Dax tags in. So that was cool. But Dax hurt his shoulder on that move, and everything slows down. That was like one of the first moves in the match, or at least right after the feeling out process and all the blind tags. So Dax tags out to Cash. The doctor looks at Dax on the outside. Rocky tries to clothesline Cash over the top rope, but Cash didn't go over, and that looked like it hurt too. So, like a really sloppy start to this match, and Dax has to be helped to the back. So, if this isn't a storyline based thing, this pay per view is for real cursed. So we'll just have to wait and see. And but I was hoping it was just a storyline. Clunky action so far in this match, kind of a mess. Now it gets going. Great Khan starts working over Cash. Cash is the legal man, and we get a really awkward spot where Great Khan sits on Cash's head in the corner while we get the turnbuckle camera, which really looked weird, and it was sitting on his head forever. So, um, Cobb tags in, and Cash looks really mad between his partner being gone and being sat on in front of the world for so long. So Cobb's now working on Cash's back, just like on Rampage. If you saw these two at a singles match on Rampage Friday, where Cash was working over Cobb's was working over Cash's back. So he tags back in Great Khan. They do a double team to Cash. Roppongi Vice is isolated from the action, and Cash doesn't have a partner to tag in at this point. Um, unless Dax returns. So Cash pulls Khan's. He has a ponytail haircut, so he pulls the ponytail. And Cash is forced to tag Trent in since he doesn't have anyone else to tag out. And Cash was in dire straits at this point, even though it was early. So Trent hits a half and half suplex once he comes in with the hot tag and hits a tornado DDT. Then Cobb runs in and Trent counters this into another tornado DDT and into a brain buster. So that was cool. Cobb's still in now. Rocky hits a diving hurricanrana off of Jeff Cobb, and Roppongi Vice and United Empire brawl outside the ring, and Cash is off somewhere resting. Roppongi Vice eventually get the advantage and hit a double team for a 2 count. Cash peeks in on that 2 count, but if it was a 3, he would have been way too late. Cash is able to tag in now and lights up both of the United Empire members with a really good hot tag here. And Great Khan blocks an uppercut, and United Empire hit a double team on Cash. Roppongi Vice then get taken out, and United Empire mock Cash for not having a partner, like putting his hand out, like, where's your partner kind of deal. And then right on cue, Dax is back. He's got a taped up shoulder. It was just a storyline, apparently, more than likely at this point. So Dax tags in, and the crowd goes wild. Dax takes out both Cobb and Great Khan with some great offense here, including 3 Germans to Cobb in a row. Cobb counters, but Max fights back, and they both end up on the top rope. Trent joins them there, and then Cash gets a blind tag as they all do a tower spot. And Cash immediately dives onto Jeff Cobb with a splash for a 2 count. Great Khan is now dominating until Rocky gets involved from the apron. And Roppongi Vice double team knee lift now to Jeff Cobb. Cobb then power bombs Trent. Max and Cash get taken out. We get a standing moonsault by Cobb to Rocky. Jeff Cobb doing that moonsault is just crazy. And Khan slams Trent down and tosses Trent into a suplex by Cobb. So good stuff here. Trent somehow kicks out of that, and fireworks are blasting outside my window as all this craziness is happening. We get a crowd chanting, "This is awesome." Roppongi Vice hit the double team strong 0 on Jeff Cobb, but Cash is able to break up the pin. And then we get really loud FTR chants, and Dax tags Cobb and goes after Rocky, and Rocky counters 3 times, all for roll-ups that get a 2 count. We get a big rig shatter machine on Rocky for the 1-2-3, and Great Khan and Jeff Cobb weren't even in the picture as they lost their titles. So Kevin Kelly and Caprice Coleman are marking out on commentary, just imagining FTR now traveling to New Japan and stuff. So the crowd absolutely loves it as well. So at some point we're getting a Great Khan versus and Jeff Cobb versus FTR one-on-one match. More than likely that'll be in Japan, but maybe not. But I do know that Great Khan and Jeff Cobb are both in G1 going forward. So where we go from here with FTR, we're not quite sure. They now own the AAA titles from Mexico, the AEW titles from America, and the NJPW titles from Japan. So what's next for them, I don't know, but I love everything about it, and I'm glad that Dax didn't really get hurt. That was just like, oh my God, really? So good stuff there. We'll see where they go. Roppongi Vice, we do get to see them later, so they're not quite done yet. I think I skipped doing some of the up until that point. I forgot to do like where do they go from here. I was just getting so into these pay-per-view matches, And maybe I read the last match a little too fast, but it was a fast-paced match, so I kind of read it how it happened. Anyway, Tony Schiavone's now in the back with Juice Robinson of all people, and he's hanging out with Jay White, both Bullet Club members. So if you guys haven't been following this whole thing, Jay White was the champion, but he had to go get appendicitis and his appendix removed. Couldn't travel to Japan to defend the title. They stripped they stripped Juice Robinson of the U.S. title, and then Jay White won it in a match against Sonata. So Jay White is the champion, but Juice Robinson still has the title. So here Juice says he has the U.S. title and that he's the true champion. This match later on is on only a number one contendership for my title. And then Jay White speaks and says, "It's time. It's the Switchblade era, and that's too sweet." He said a couple other things, but nothing much of note. But it was cool to see that Juice Robinson was in the arena. He got to see his girlfriend in the title match later on, and I was thinking maybe we'd see Juice Robinson in the U.S. title match poke up later on, but he is mentioning that he is the number one contender basically, but saying that whoever wins the title tonight is the number one contender. But that just means Juice Robinson is the number one contender for a title he never lost. But yeah, it has been weird that Ospreay hasn't been able to hold the title that he's now. He won like over 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago now. So next is the four-way match. So we go from all that craziness and the three-way tag match to a four-way match for the All-American, first ever All-American Championship from AEW. So Clark Connor's amazing hits and the crowd claps respectfully. If you didn't know, this was supposed to be Tomohiro Ishii, but the cursed injury bug of Forbidden Door struck again, and Tomohiro Ishii was not able to fly over to USA. He had a knee injury, so Clark Connors, who lost in the finals of the four-man tournament in New Japan to come to earn the spot, got the choice. Clark Connors was basically only over in Japan at that particular time because he was invited to the Best of the Super Juniors, just like Wheeler Yuta was. Clark Connors is mostly from the LA Dojo and the NJPW Strong show here in America. But like I said, Clark Connors was over there invited to the Best of the Super Juniors, and it was not too long after that ended where they they announced that it was going to be 4 people in New Japan going for the All Atlantic title match. So Clark Connors was just basically asked to stay. He did really good. He won his match against Hanma in the semifinals. It wasn't quite as good as the other semifinal match, which was like my match of the week last week. And I was really looking forward to this match. It was unfortunate we didn't get to see Miro face off with Ishii, but Clark Connors did more than enough to make his spot inclusion worthy. So we get good cheers for Pac, who comes out next. As Pac's climbing the turnbuckle as he enters the ring, the lights go out, so that was kind of funny. We get a great entrance by Malachi Black here. Nothing too different than usual. Just we haven't seen the by himself entrance in a while. He didn't have any of the House of Black members with him. So Miro comes out the really big cheers, and his entrance is great too. So everyone just starts brawling right away. Again, this is a four-way match. First fall to a finish for the first ever AEW All Atlantic Championship. And Miro and Connors stay in the ring while the other two brawl outside. And they trade strikes, but Connors gets. I know that Connors has to trade strikes with Ishii and Miro in the same week. That's pretty crazy. And Miro catches a dive to the outside by Connors and slams him onto the mat. So that's a common theme that Miro keeps catching dives this match. Malachi then gets a really nice looking knee to Pac, and they're on the middle rope now. Pac goes on top and tries a sunset flip, but Malachi, it wasn't quite as smooth as he probably would have wanted, but it really still looked good anyway. A flip, he did a backflip out of the sunset flip attempt by Pac. So Miro then comes in and he catches Malachi's kick, and Malachi hits a springboard moonsault on Miro instead. So Connors now gets put in a knee bar by Malachi Black. Malachi just having his way here. And Miro drags Connors by his hair out of the ring. Another common theme throughout this match. Miro just keeps pulling the hair of Connors. But yeah, Connors was in that knee bar and he gets pulled by his hair outside of the ring by Miro and thrown into the barricade. So Miro catches a dive now, like I said, Another common theme, a dive by Pac to the outside. Miro catches it and tosses him aside. So Connor's now back up with some forearms, and Miro says, "Come on," and hits a massive Uranagi. And Connor's able to kick out of 2 on that one. And Malachi tries to enter the ring, but Miro knocks him back down. Miro then stalks Connors and pumps the crowd up. Huge lariat while holding Connors' hair. And we get a gut wrench slam by Miro for a 2 on Connors. Pac and Malachi Black are now in, and Black and Miro team up and on Pac, and then stare each other down as soon as they take Pac out. So the alliance didn't last long. Black tells Miro to keep the alliance going, however, so it does keep going. But then it breaks down 10 seconds later. So that was a funny spot, nonetheless. Forearm exchange now between Miro and Malachi Black, which Miro easily wins the forearm exchange. If kicks were involved, that's a different story. But Pac is now in. He gets taken out with a Samoan drop by Miro. Really good looking move there. Miro's now pumping up the crowd again, and he signals for the Machka kick. But Pac hits a super kick first, so that looked really good. And Pac now with a perfect looking Fosbury flop to the outside onto Malachi Black. No one has. I dare anybody to execute a more perfect version. Then we get a nasty snap suplex from Miro to Malachi, and a bunch of big moves here. Too fast for me to type, but everyone goes down again. And Malachi's up first, and we get a table, and he goes and gets a table from under the ring. So Malachi sets this table up on on the barricade, and like leaning against it, and a small child has to like run away from the action here that was sitting like right there. And Black tries to throw Miro through this table but fails. Miro then catches a dive again from Pac, and instead Miro gets speared from Clark Connors through that table, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. One of the biggest pops of the night was this Clark Connors spear to Miro through the table. So Clark Connors and Malachi are now battling in the ring, but Pac gets back in. Big spear from Connors to Pac. So 2 big spears in a row here. Connors hits the trophy kill slam, one of his, I think maybe his finisher, but Malachi's just barely able to break up the pinfall. We get a "Let's Go Clark" chant from the crowd. I wasn't expecting that, but here it is, and well deserved. He had a great week between the Hanma, Ishii, and then this match. Pac then flips out of a Connors move and knocks Connors down. Pac then goes to the top rope, but gets crotched by Malachi Black. Connors and Black then go up to meet Pac, and Miro powerbombs all 3 at the same time. So great stuff again. Pac then gets hit with the Machka kick, and Miro locks in the game over, the camel clutch. The crowd's going wild, but Black and Connors are nowhere to be seen, so this might be it. Pac's able to crawl to the rope, but just before he gets to the rope, he gets dragged back to the middle. But now Malachi Black is back in, and he spits the Black Mist on Miro, which, pause, that could be an interesting thing going forward if we're told that the mist changes people. It's only been proven so far 1 out of like 4 or 5 different people, because like Cody obviously left, and you could say it's long-term booking. He got hit with the mist, and he turned so evil that he went to WWE. Not that I think he's evil for doing that, but you know what I mean. But anyway, since Julia Hart's the only one, maybe it doesn't mean anything that Miro got misted, other than it hurt him here at like now at the rate when it happened. So Black's Connors now tries to lock in an armbar on Malachi, but Pac hits a 450 splash on the Malachi Black, and we get a brutalizer on Clark, who taps out almost immediately. And your first ever AEW All Atlantic Champion representing Newcastle, England, and the United Kingdom. It's the bastard Pac. And Pac gets no time to celebrate. We show a graphic for the next match, and then Tony Schiavone is announced and comes out to do commentary for this next match. And Tony quickly says that this part's funny. Tony says he was massaging JR's leg and figured he'd join them. But let's pause on that one. Hold up. We just crowned the first. We had all these qualifiers. There was qualifiers in Japan and qualifiers on Dynamite. and Pac wins this huge 4-way title match to crown the first ever AEW All Atlantic title, and he gets absolutely no time to celebrate. Are you kidding me? I don't have very many complaints about tonight, but I swear this isn't just me reaching for something to complain about. It's ridiculous. You're telling us right off the bat just what we all figured. We all figured when you introduced this title, of course, we were all thinking when you first ran the video, we were all thinking, oh, here comes those trios titles that have been rumored. But nope, it wasn't the trios titles. Nope, it's not a women's tag titles or anything else you can think of. It's a freaking another men's singles title. Yes, it's a really bloated roster, but you got to remember right now you have all those ROH titles. So I know you guys have been listening about this debate about the titles for a while now, but here we are, and it's this third AEW singles title that we're introducing. And what do? We have this big old cross-continent qualifier and a good 4-way at the pay-per-view, and then no time for the guy to celebrate. No real. I know. I mean, Pac's a heel and all, and but the crowd was cheering him, and it would have been a nice moment. But I'm telling you, like Pac had zero time to celebrate. We just moved on, and they're like, and for calling the next match is Tony Schiavone. Like, what the heck? Show Pac a little more respect, please. I know you just gave him the title, but come on. So anyway, this next match is going to be the Dudes with Attitude versus Bullet Club. And Shingo Takagi comes out to some big cheers. He's the Rampage Dragon and the current holder of the KOPW trophy, a yearly trophy where um, you hold it throughout the year, but you only go down in the record books as being the champion if you're holding it at the very end of the year. So you have to defend it here and there, and it's always gimmick matches. The last one, just real quickly, if you guys missed this and you're only AEW fans, it was a match that was 10 minutes long, and it was the first in that 10 minutes when it ended, it was whoever had the most pinfall counts. Not the most pinfalls, but say I get you down for a 2 count, I get 2 points. And then right after I get you down for another one for a 1 count this time, and now I have 3 points, the 2 plus the 1, and you can even get me down for like a 6 count if you really knock me out and get 6 points, and then whoever has the most points at the end wins. I thought it was a little too long, maybe a 5-minute match where it's more of a mad dash scramble, because if you do a mad dash scramble for 10 minutes, it's going to be like 42 to 35, and then everybody's going to be confused as hell. This one ended in 10 minutes at like 11 to 10 with a comeback attempted at the end, but falling one short. And I don't know what would happen if it was tied. But anyway, that's just one thing. Like another gimmick match that they had it for that KOPW trophy is, um, so every time they have a fan vote, and each competitor gets to choose a stipulation. So this one was it was either a finisher's band match or a finishers only match. And sadly, finishers are band match one. But can you imagine a match where they can only attempt like one move? So they continue to go for that one move the entire time. I mean, these are all just one time little gimmick matches, and a lot of the New Japan purists hate it, but I love it. And anyway, Darby's out next to some big cheers, and he rides his skateboard down the ramp and catches up with Shingo like immediately because the skateboard made him go down fast. Sting's music now plays, big cheers from the crowd, an epic LED board thing for Sting, but Sting doesn't come out. And then all of a sudden, just the Young Bucks music hits. So I'm like, oh, now what? So we'll have to figure out here. But Young Bucks, this is a big moment. It's teaming up with the Bullet Club. They say one night only, but well, that makes sense. One night only because Young Bucks have already kind of established that they didn't like Jay White being around because Kenny Omega and Jay White don't get along. So this is more fuel for Kenny Omega to be like, what was that with the Young Bucks? But since Jay White has to defend his title later on, he's nowhere to be seen during this match. It was supposed to be a 4-way match, but the injury bugs, or at least the curse, struck again. Hiromu Takahashi had a fever and couldn't fly to the USA with all the precautions and stuff because of the viruses and stuff. It's no good idea to get on a plane with a fever. So hopefully Hiromu Takahashi is fine, but and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see him here tonight. So hopefully he can make it over to America again soon. So that changed it from an 8-man tag to a trios match. and instead Hikuleo will just accompany the rest of Bullet Club here instead of being in the match. So in the match is the Young Bucks and El Phantasmo. El Phantasmo again had a really good showing in the Best of the Super Juniors. So good that they invited him to the G1 next month. So El Phantasmo's awesome. He's also been featured on Impact a lot this year, along with Jay White. So good stuff. And again, don't forget Sting music played and he didn't come out. So the Young Bucks music plays and they come out like all the cocky heel stuff with the Bullet Club, and they're putting up the two suites and stuff. It's pretty cool for all it's nostalgic for sure. But then the lights come out right as the confetti pops and they do the pose, the Young Bucks pose, and Sting you see, then it shows a spotlight on the roof on the catwalk, and Sting is up there. I'm like, oh no, like don't repel, please. But no, it was just like a fake Sting, because immediately then Sting jumps from the entrance tunnel, and I think it was like a crossbody to all four Bullet Club members here. So Sting, before the match even starts, is already jumping off of high places. This 60-year-old man is a madman. But Sting is just awesome. Props to Sting, and it was great to have him here in this match. Shingo then hits his future G1 opponent, so they're in the same group, Shingo and El Phantasmo. A little side story on this match: Shingo hits El Phantasmo on the apron as we start the match here, and those two are going to start the match in the ring. So Sting and Shingo then double team El Phantasmo and do the LIJ fist bump. That was a pretty big moment there for LIJ fans, getting Sting honorary member. And Darby now tags in, but the Young Bucks double team Darby right away. And the announcers say this is the first time Darby and the Young Bucks have ever been in a match together, or at least on AEW. And we get a big dive to Darby by the Bucks to the outside. So things are heating up already. Back in the ring, Matt pokes the eyes of Darby's and then tags in Nick. We get a double team neck breaker, backbreaker combo by the Bucks. Looks really good. El Phantasmo tags in and then takes out Sting and Shingo on the apron. And then he does his amazing rolling, flipping back rake. The crowd cheers and boos. And then they chant Holy S. And Nick tags in and hits another cartwheel, flipping, juke and jive, back rake. And the crowd chants, this is awesome. Good stuff here. Darby has been isolated for a while now, and El Phantasmo tags in and taunts Sting a little bit before a triple drop kick on Darby. So now Darby's in real big trouble. Phantasmo stands up on the Yambag region, as Taz says, on Darby Allin, who's stuck in like a tree of woe position. Hikuleo then pulls Sting off the apron when Darby was getting close to a tag. And Hikuleo also throws Sting into the barrier. And apparently the ref didn't see any of that. So Shingo then is able to get up and get the tag. And the Young Bucks meet him. And we're told that Shingo and the Young Bucks have history in Dragon Gate. That must have been some good stuff. And Shingo fights off both of the Young Bucks and hits a twisting snap suplex that looked nice. And Taz is like, great hips, and marks out on that one. So that's what I was saying about it. Was nice to have Taz's reactions with all this really good New Japan stuff that maybe he's not familiar with. Maybe he is. I don't know how much he watches. I can see him watching like Wrestle Kingdom once a year, and that's it. I mean, like, and that's it for the year. Anyway, Nick then hits a Trouble in Paradise kick, but Shingo no sells it and hits a Death Valley driver, and then tags in Sting. Sting does his patented like punch jab things to the Young Bucks and takes them all out. But the El Phantasmo then tries a titty twister on Sting, grabbing him by the nipples of all things. Sting was wearing a shirt, but Sting no sells this and hits a couple Stinger splashes on everybody and goes to put Matt in the Scorpion Deathlock, but Hikuleo then gets us a distraction here. So then Darby's back on his feet now and hits a Stinger on Death Drop on ELP, I think it was. I write down Stinger, but I don't know what else it would be. Anyway, Bucks do a double team super kick to Sting now, but Sting no sells this too. And double lariat to the Bucks. So big stuff here by Sting. Darby tags in, and a coin drop on Matt is blocked by the knees, a coffin drop is blocked by the knees of Matt. So then Darby gets hit with the more bang for your buck, and then a Thunder Kiss 86 immediately after by El Phantasmo. So Darby, who already was getting beat up earlier, definitely needed to be saved after that one, and is saved by Shingo Takagi. Then we get dual dives by the Bucks to the outside, and ELP tightrope walks the top rope and moonsaults to the outside. So great stuff here. Then Sting goes for a dive, but runs right into a triple super kick. So he ran straight into it. But Sting is able to count the BTE trigger and hits a double scorpion death drop on the Bucks. ELP wants to now too sweet the former Wolfpack member Sting, but Sting then hits a titty twister on the nipples of on Phantasmo of all things, and then kicks him in the yam bags. Now we get a coffin drop, the Hikaleu by Darby, and Shingo hits a ton of forearms on El Phantasmo, massive lariat, and the closest near fall of the match. El Phantasmo was able to kick out somehow. So Shingo now goes for Made in Japan, but transitions it into the Last of the Dragon DVD, and Shingo then gets the 1-2-3. So beating his future opponent in G1, I could definitely now see Phantasmo beating Shingo in their G1 match. And Sting gets way more time to celebrate here. I know it's Sting, he's a legend, but way more time here for Sting to celebrate than Pac did for a new title. Pac definitely got screwed over a little bit on that. So now we get an ad for the next Dynamite Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium. It'll be sometime in September. I missed the actual date, but it'll be in September. That'll be a big show. And we've got Tony Schiavone in the back now. He's with Shota Umino. He's interrupted by the Jericho Appreciation Society. Daddy Magic is hilarious in this segment. And Jericho says he's now got respect for Shota after that showing he had out there. But of course, Jericho was lying and immediately throws a fireball in Shota Umino's face, the wizard, taking out yet another victim. So I'm guessing we'll see another Shota Jericho match at some point, maybe in Japan. Who knows? Tony Storm's now out for the women's title match, and she looks like it's all business tonight since the title's on the line. And she's got her boyfriend Juice Robinson here in the building, so I was definitely thinking she could have a chance to win this title. I was definitely 50-50 on this one. Thunder Rosa comes out to some real big cheers. She's wearing like a sweet Dead of the Day of the Dead type outfit or something along those lines. But she looks like a mega star in that outfit. Thunder Rosa looking great. So they start out with some good grappling, and the crowd is split down the middle. They're definitely dueling for chance for both women here. We get a really good counter grappling to start this match on back and forth. I love good counter and grappling stuff. And Taz is like, I love this, so he loves it too. Rosa works on the arm of Tony Storm, and we get a few roll-ups, which kills the crowd a little bit, but they come right back into it. They didn't like that roll-up spot for whatever reason, though. And Thunder Rosa hits some big chops, but Storm fights back. The crowd's really split between the two women. They're both, and they're like vehemently cheering against the others in the crowd, like that are cheering for the other one. It's pretty good here. One of the loudest. That's definitely one thing to note. Like I said, it was a heavily NJPW crowd fans here, but also very respectful and probably AEW fans as well. So this is the subsection of fans that are fans of both for sure that were in this crowd tonight. And they showed the women. This was like the loudest women's match I can remember in AEW. So props to this crowd tonight. But yeah, that was awesome. And Rose is working on the arm of Tony, like I said. Now both slap each other in the face and they fire up, exchanging chops and strikes. Crowd's fired up, yelling back at him with all this happening. Rosen then gets two drop kicks to Tony, who's sitting on the ropes, like in the sitting position. Those were some nice drop kicks. Then we get some more nice counters, and the crowd's just going crazy. So the action spills to the outside, and Rosa hits a suplex onto the mat on the outside. So turning around a little bit here, Tony then hits a spear and climbs to the ropes, but gets caught with an uppercut. Rosa then tries to slap Tony on the slam Tony on the apron, but instead Tony German suplexes Rosa on the apron. So Rosa's now looking like she's almost knocked out, knocked silly. And then she immediately gets DDT'd to the mat on the outside. So devastating looking stuff there. Back in the ring, Tony hits a massive hip attack again to the head of Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa's hurt, but kicks out at 2. And there's absolutely no way to tell if Rosa's just really good at selling here, if she's actually hurt. But I'm assuming really, really good selling. And Rosa then counters and hits a Death Valley driver. So fighting back here, she's not out yet. And we get a fire Thunder driver, plants Tony completely on their head, and that looked nasty. So both have been kind of hit on their head, and I'm assuming both are just selling it really well. But great selling in this match, great moves. Tony was able to kick out of that, and Tony's now holding her arm as well that Rosa was working over earlier. Tony hits a German, but Rosa is able to counter and hit it on the arm again, that hurt arm. Then we get a final reckoning spinning suplex straight out of the Dustin Rhodes moveset, who is Thunder Rosa's coach, and that gets Thunder Rosa the 1-2-3. So still AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. Rosa shows respect to Tony Storm after the match, and we go on to the next one. So the next one is the U.S. title match. And we know that Juice Robinson is holding the title. He's in the building, and we get a video package, the same one we saw on Countdown, and the same one we've already seen on Buy-In. So twice now, if you watch all the AEW stuff, you've seen this video package for the U.S. title, and I don't think we needed a third one. We could have just had Pac celebrate a little more. Not to keep bringing that up, but you know what I mean. Like, did we need to see this U.S. title package for the third time? After the video package, we hear Boomer Sooner play over the PA system. Jim Ross comes out. I was thinking maybe just to call this one match like Tony Schiavone only called one match. But no, from this point on, Jim Ross stays out there until the event is over, which was nice. Orange Cassidy's out to his regular music. I had heard rumors that Orange Cassidy might have been getting new music, but if he is, it's apparently not yet. He just has his old music for tonight. Good cheers for Orange Cassidy. But bigger cheers when Will Ospreay comes out and we hear an Ospreay chant. So, like I was saying, it's a heavily New Japan crowd tonight. Ospreay comes out and with the Rev Pro British Heavyweight title, but not the U.S. title that's on the line in this match since Juice has it. And a little kid in the crowd is holding up the United Empire Crowns Up sign. So the future is bright if this little kid's already knowing about New Japan and stuff like that at his age. So that's awesome to see. Orange puts his hand in his pockets before the bell even rings. Then we get a ton of innovative pocket offense to start this match. I'll definitely admit pretty innovative stuff here from Orange Cassidy, and Orange hits the Deja Vu head scissors. Now Aussie Open come down to the ringside, or maybe they were there a little bit earlier, but I see them anyway. And Ospreay kicks Orange in the face. The crowd cheers. So definitely like the Orange has got his fans for sure, but Ospreay seems to be getting just as many cheers. And at this point, we see Juice Robinson with some of the other Bullet Club. I know I saw El Phantasmo. I think Hikuleo as well up in the skybox. And Juice Robinson has the U.S. title that's on the line in this match. Ospreay runs outside the ring and gets catapulted, like assisted by Aussie Open with a running move, like slant. He jumped and dove into Orange Cassidy, who was laying against the barricade. That was a cool move. I'm not quite sure I've ever seen anything like that before. Ospreay then mocks the hands in the pockets, and that gets boos from the crowd. So they did not like the mocking of the Orange Cassidy pockets there. Ospreay does some sit-ups and gets more boos, so really working over the crowd. But a section of the crowd does an old A chant for Ospreay, so split down the middle in this one, just like the last match. And we get some forearms that rock Orange Cassidy, and then Ospreay's in the control. And Ospreay's working over the crowd and getting a ton of heat still. Osprey versus Jay White, I was thinking wouldn't really work because they both work the crowd with the same heat spots. So I know Osprey versus Jay White would be a good match with all the moves they do each other, but just wouldn't work if that was a idea for them for New Japan for a title match in the future. Anyway, Osprey locks in a downward stretch. He puts his hand in Cassidy's pocket and then takes it out, showing a middle finger. That was a pretty funny spot, and Taz loved it. Taz was laughing at that. He's like, I love this guy. Orange fights back, but his comeback is cut short. We get a handspring kick by Osprey, who gets cheers from the crowd. Will goes up and hits a diving forearm to the back of the head for a 2. Osprey's in control here. Orange has a red and bruised back that I didn't really see, but Taz was noting that. Osprey then pulls the hair of Orange Cassidy and kicks him in the face over and over to some big boos, and then steps on Orange Cassidy's head for even more big boos. So um, I definitely wish Osprey would have yelled freshly squeezed as he was standing on Orange's head. And then Orange puts his hands back in his pockets and hits a drop kick. Now we get a freshly squeezed chant from the crowd. I swear I wrote that last line down before the chant. And Orange nips up, of course, with the hands in the pockets. Then he goes and holds the hair and goes to do like the kicks to the face, like was just on the him, but it's the weak kicks that Orange does normally, and it's the weak kicks version. So Will Ospreay gets mad at this. So Orange does the regular kick or like the kicks for real this time, and Ospreay is able to counter it and goes for the Os cutter. But Orange dodges it and goes for and hits a stun dog millionaire, and then immediately hits a Michinoku driver, and Ospreay has to kick out at only kicks out at 2.9, really close there, and that's not even the closest near fall of this match. So this match ends up being really, really good. Good stuff here. Ospreay dodges an attack and goes for the cheeky Nando's kick in the corner. Orange counters this into a DDT and then dives to the outside on Will, who had gone out there. Aussie open, distract, but Orange dives on them too. And then we get a springboard somersault, which was pretty crazy. Like springboard somersault dive type deal. Orange then gets close to another near fall. Ospreay hits a standing Spanish fly by Orange was running at him. Really one of the best moves of the night on that one. And now we get the cheeky Nando's kick connected by Ospreay. Orange meets Ospreay on the ropes, and Ospreay gets his head rammed into the corner mounted camera right as we were looking through that camera, and then the camera gets all sweaty. So that was pretty funny. Ospreay misses a double moonsault, and Orange gets a knee up for the spiral tap attempt. So Ospreay gets countered there. Orange hits a big move here, and Ospreay's able to kick out, but this time at 9.95. It was even closer than the last one. Orange keeps his cool though and takes his elbow pad off, and he signals for the orange punch. Uh, but a cutter counters it, and then an Os cutter immediately after. But this is kicked out by 2 by Orange. Orange then dodges the hidden blade by Ospreay, and Ospreay dodges the orange punch. So this match is really heating up. Orange almost wins again, but Ospreay hits the hidden blade now, and Orange somehow kicks out. So Ospreay hits the Stormbreaker and gets the 1-2-3 for the win. Retaining his title is Will Ospreay. And I will never doubt Orange Cassidy again, but I still find like the weak kicks every match like not funny or entertaining. It was funnier this time because it was a variant on it, but just the normal like weak kicks, I don't like that stuff. It's not like it's ruining or it's too much comedy. It's just it's a comedy spot that I don't laugh at. I barely laughed at the first time he did it, and now I've seen him do it so many times, and it wasn't that funny the first time. So little things like that, I don't care for, but I'm never gonna doubt that that um Orange Cassidy can go in the ring because he can definitely go in the ring. And he wasn't everybody's first choice for this match. And yeah, the rumors say that Andrade was supposed to be the opponent for Will Ospreay, but because of the ban for any AAA guys from Mexico, because like FTR weren't banned, for example, and then they wore the AAA titles out. So only the guys that were in Mexico that were affiliated with AAA were banned. Anyway, just when think this is probably all over this segment. Nope, it's not over by a long shot. Some pretty big things happen here. Aussie Open are celebrating with Osprey, and they chase the ref out of the ring, so they look like they're gonna beat up Orange. The crowd's booing big time at this. They tear the pockets out of Orange's jeans. Aussie Open go for their finisher, but Roppongi Vice run down to make the save. But the numbers game is too much for Roppongi Vice. And then out of nowhere, to the surprise of a lot of people, and just making them probably a lot of those people in live attendance tonight in Chicago, it just made their night. We out of nowhere hear the smooth jazz tones of the music of only one man, and that is Shibata. Shibata's music hits, and the legend of Shibata appears on the stage, ready to fight. He comes down and takes out Aussie Open, and then goes after Osprey. We get a big pump kick by Shibata and some massive elbows, a shotgun drop kick, and then a sleeper hold until Aussie Open can pull Osprey out of the ring. So great stuff here. Great to see Shibata here. I love that this moment happened. And then Orange and Shibata have a stare down in the ring after all that. Orange Cassidy then puts the sunglasses on Shibata's head, of all things, and does the pose with the thumb up thing. And a big moment here for all the New Japan diehards in attendance. Um, which good that they got that moment, because those same diehard New Japan guys, that the ones that don't really watch AEW but are diehard New Japan guys, are not gonna like this next match. So let's get into it. Um, Next we find out who the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club is, but first out comes Zack Sabre Jr. Um, and then as we're about to see, before you like even hear the music or anything, the crowd goes crazy. The camera shot is on the crowd at this point. The crowd can see the LED. Um, so they botched this a little bit in my mind, because it was taken away from me that they went that. I mean, I guess they could have gone that crazy for anyone, but so I guess maybe not ruining it, but all we see is the crowd and they go crazy, and then we go and see the stage. So we hear the crowd go crazy for a couple seconds, and that's all we see. And then we see the stage, and the stage is the reveal first before you even see the guys. So like two different things were kind of like revealed first before you see that Cesaro is in AEW, and that's the last time I call him Cesaro unless it's an accident. It is now under his original name, or at least his indie name that he made famous, Claudio Castagnoli, and he is the newest member of Blackpool Combat Club. He will fight Zack Sabre Jr. next, and he will be in Blood and Guts in Detroit on Wednesday. So good stuff here. Great to see the guy. He looks pumped up. Claudio Castagnoli is all elite. So he even, a really funny moment here, if you remember when all the rumors of Cesaro might be the masked man, the masked cameraman, and maybe that's how Claudio Castagnoli debuts. So didn't that turned out to be a red herring, but Claudio Castagnoli now points at the masked cameraman as he walks by him. So he's self-aware of that whole ordeal. And Claudio has a Blackpool Combat Club jacket on. So cool stuff here. Claudio starts out super fast with a running big boot and hits a neutralizer, the Gotch style pile driver immediately. And Zach just barely able to kick out right at the start of this match. So Claudio almost winning this match in like 10, 15, 20 seconds. Pretty crazy. But like I said, the New Japan diehards that don't really follow AEW or care for AEW are not going to like this match. So we get big Claudio chants now. And Claudio's wearing pants instead of the normal like tights or shorts. So that's pretty cool. Different look here. The two Europeans trade European uppercuts. Claudio's able to show off his strength. He's much stronger than Zach, and it shows throughout this match. That's pretty much the story of this match. Instead of being the dream match we wanted, which was going to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson, where it was just going to be nothing but quick transitions and submissions and counters throughout the entire match. Instead, Claudio can do some of that stuff, but mostly it turns into him using his power advantage, while Zach just puts as many submissions on as possible. And it's really, really fun to watch. And that beginning was pretty crazy too, like I said. So Claudio shows off his strength by lifting Zach up and slam forever, like delayed lift up and then slamming him down. Zach was on the apron, but counters a big boot into a submission. So we get our first like counter into submission, one of many. There had to be like 50 at least of these. And I write that there's too much great action going on for me to take notice of, but I try to do my best here. Both men get to showcase all their great moves and do a great job of selling everything. So good stuff. Good. Definitely go watch this match. Claudio hits two big backbreakers in a row and then a running forearm for a 2 count. Then Claudio picks up Zach, but Zach grabs Claudio's nose and counters into a triangle choke. Or at least, yeah, I think it was a triangle choke. Claudio's able to deadlift Zach and they spill outside, but Zach keeps the hold applied. Claudio then deadlifts Zach again, which looked even harder to do this time, and casually walks up the steps and throws Zach into the ring. Really cool spot there. And like I said, Claudio definitely showing off his strength in this match. And that seems to be the key to, or his ticket to winning, or at least that's his game plan, is what I meant to say. So, Claudio goes for the giant swing at this point, but Sabre counters it into a chokehold. Claudio throws Zach onto the top rope in the corner while being in that chokehold and then tries to superplex, but Zach counters it into another submission. Claudio then suplexes Zach into the middle of the ring after being caught in that submission for a while. And I think Claudio got his arm torn up with it these last couple of submissions. The crowd's going crazy, crazy enough that I thought someone was coming out. I'm like, oh, they're going crazy. Is somebody coming out? But no, they're just going crazy because Cesaro's going for the swing. Zach blocks it, but then dodges a lariat, but eats a nasty uppercut. So Zach dodges a few moves, but gets a nasty uppercut to the face. Now we get this swing, but he only Claudio's only able to get 6 swings because of all the damage applied done to his arm with all the submissions. Zach instantly counters a sharpshooter attempt into a heel hook, and Claudio tries to strike his way out of it, but Zach transitions again into a knee bar and heel hook at the same time. So great stuff here. Claudio counters this into a sharpshooter, but Zach fights it immediately, and Claudio just says screw it and hits a big stomp to the chest of Zack Sabre Jr. And we get a "This is wrestling" chant from the crowd. Both hit European uppercuts again, but Claudio wins the exchange easily, outstriking Zack Sabre here. Zach counters again into a chokehold and then into an armbar on the hurt arm. Claudio uses his length to just barely get a toe on the rope, break the hold, but Zach keeps the hold on until the 4 count from the referee, getting a little frustrated here. Crowd rallies behind Claudio and Zach kicks him, but Claudio shakes it off, literally just like brushing his shoulder off. But then we get like 10 or 12 more kicks to the chest in a row by Zack Sabre Jr. to the Claudio's chest. But then Claudio just gets up and hits a big lariat. So Zach still has a hold, gets a hold on, but eats another uppercut and discus lariat after that. So none of his stuff's working. We get the Rico bomb, and Claudio wins. Wow. So I definitely know the NJPW diehards. Like, if you listen to the J Cast, they are gonna be furious about this match. And then maybe about something that happens later on concerning this match too. So, but Claudio wins. That's good for the AEW storyline part that Claudio didn't have to lose in his debut. Bad for New Japan and Zach losing a match that he wasn't even supposed to. He was supposed to fight Brian Danielson, and then he gets a replacement, and then loses that to that replacement. So, not a great look. That's basically where like JCast is definitely gonna complain about that loss there. So, and I note that I absolutely hate Claudio's music. It is so cheesy sounding. Claudio then talks to the camera on his way out and says, "I love you guys." And then he talks a little bit of trash to Jericho Appreciation Society. So don't forget, Claudio will be in the Blood and Guts match on Wednesday. So only 2 matches left. It's the 2 big titles of both of these promotions on the line. Anything could happen. And the first one is the 4-way for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And we get that same video package we've seen twice before now. Well, not on this show, but in the countdown and buy-in. Pretty good though. Still, this I would keep this one for the IWGP World Heavyweight Title, and then scrap the U.S. title video package. That way, Pat could have celebrated. Adam Cole's out first. He gets a good amount of cheers. Hangman comes out to even bigger cheers, and he's got pyro. Then the crowd's chanting "Cowboy S." Way bigger cheers for Okada out next. Looking like $1 million. Maybe the cheers of the night for Okada. Okada gets super fired up from this reaction. Remember, he's mostly been wrestling in Japan where they can't even yell yet. They have to clap only crowds, and hopefully they'll be able to cheer soon. But Okada really affected. It looks like it really affected him emotionally, and it fired him up. All this big reaction from his entrance. A lot of cheers of the night so far, definitely by far, and he truly loved by this crowd. Okada is, and I'm definitely glad that Okada got to be here for this crowd. I think Tony Khan had to shill out a few, maybe $1 million to Okada just for this. Okada usually spends this time of the year with his wife. It's his wife's birthday, and he usually doesn't do anything wrestling related during these times. So during like the week of his wife's birthday. So maybe Tony Khan threw like $1 million to Okada, said, "Get your wife something nice, bring her to Chicago. We'll put you in a 5-star hotel and come hang out." So Jay White then comes out to some cheers, but not too many, not too many boos either. But there is a noise being made, so it's probably a mixture. He's looking great in an all red outfit. Jay White is, and Switchblade also has Gato accompanying him in this no disqualification match. So we'll see how much Gato gets involved. Some boos for Cole when he's announced once we get in the ring and do the announcements, and massive cheers for Okada again, and then huge boos for Jay White now during the introductions in the ring. And then we get cheers for Switchblade after the Japanese announcers. So um we was hear the big announcement like from Osaka, Japan and stuff like that, and then the Japanese announcer would just say the person's name right after. So that was kind of funny how that played out too. This should be crazy and probably too much to type out, but I think I got a lot of it. And we get a holy S chant from the crowd before the bell even rings. And when the bell does ring, the crowd just absolutely goes insane. All four are staring each other down. Again, this is one fall to a finish, winner take all. For the IWGP World Heavyweight title, the Jay White does not have to be pinned to lose his title, as we saw with the triple threat match earlier. Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan lost their titles without being pinned. So same deal here. Jay White's got a lot um tough defense for him as his first defense. Just won the title a month ago. So we'll see how this goes. Jay White leaves the ring immediately, and Taz says, "I love it." And then Adam Cole leaves the ring, so Taz is laughing at this, and JR is still here, thankfully, for this main event. Jay White then gets a cheap shot on Okada, but Okada is right back with a boot. Hangman and Okada then get a double team on Jay. So Adam Cole pulls Jay out of the ring, and he tells Jay that we have to team up. It's the only chance. And we get a huge cowboy ass chant at this point. Hangman dives to the outside on Cole, and Jay counters a move and then slams Okada into the apron. So this takes out Okada for a little while. Jay then saves Cole from Hangman. So again, the good teamwork here between Jay and Adam Cole, and they hit a double delayed vertical suplex on Hangman onto the ramp, which sounded really nasty and looked really good. Okada's still down and gets beat up by Cole and Jay, or Jay was just kind of watching at first. Then Cole holds on to Okada while Jay does a couple of the two sweet chops, and Hangman throws Jay into the steps. So Hangman's back in there. Okada goes for a tombstone or attempts it, but Jay's able to save Cole and get him out of that move. Hangman then battles both Jay and Cole and counters both, hitting a fallaway slam on Cole and then a dive to the outside on Jay. Quickly into a splash back into the ring from the top rope on the Cole. Great flurry there from Hangman Page. And we get some big shots from Hangman the Cole now. The crowd's loving every minute of this. Jay tries to save Cole, but fails this time. and we get a moonsault by Page, countered by an Adam Cole super kick in midair. So really good spot. I think we've seen that spot in AEW before between those two, but done to perfection here. Okada's now in with forearms to Jay and Cole, and Okada's chest is super red from those two sweet chops from Jay. Big drop kick now by Okada. He's got one of the best drop kicks in the world, and the crowd's cheering this on big time. All three are outside of the ring now, so Okada has to go out there, and he boots Jay over the barrier, Okada does, and then he throws Adam Cole on top of Jay. Okada runs back and walks back and gets a running start and leaps over the barrier with a nice looking crossbody to both Jay White and Adam Cole, and the crowd goes wild. And they show a replay. Okada cleared that barrier with like 2 feet to spare, so great leap there. Okada brings Cole back in the ring and locks in the money clip on the arm. Switchblade then gets in with a snap Saito suplex onto Okada. And Hangman's now back and hits some strikes and chops to Jay, but Jay counters with the complete shot. Hangman then gets a jackknife cover, but Cole's able to break up the pin. And I write down the alliance will have to end eventually between Jay and Cole. And literally, as I'm writing that, Jay and Adam Cole go for the 2 sweet, and Cole immediately hits Jay White with the backstabber. So I could definitely sense that was about to happen because I had just wrote it down. Jay White able to kick out at 2. Gato was furious ringside now that the alliance had broken down so early. Jay then counters Cole and hits a Uranagi. Jay White then points the barrel at Cole's head with his finger, so to speak, and then chops Cole down to his knee with a big chop. Then Jay White hits a suplex on Adam Cole and Okada separately, not at the same time. He looks to do it to Hangman Page as well, but Hangman blocks it. Jay then goes for the Blade Runner instead, but Hangman blocks this as well. And all 4 men now hit big moves in a quick succession. And all 4 men are on the ground as the crowd chants, "This is awesome." All 4 get up at the same time and exchange strikes. You've got Adam Cole and Jay on one side, and you've got Okada and Hangman on the other. Cole and Jay then both break the eyes of their opponents at the same time, and then immediately start fighting each other. Jay and Cole do. So Okada then tries to hit Cole, but he eats a big Hangman boot instead. Hangman power bomb, but a kick out at 2. Hangman now looks for the buckshot on Jay, but Cole and Okada both grab his leg. So instead, Hangman hits a moonsault on both Adam Cole and Okada on the outside from the top rope, springboard style. And then Gato grabs Hangman's Page, but gets kicked off pretty easy. Jay now blocks the buckshot, which was attempted. And Page also blocks a Blade Runner right after that. So Hangman tries the buckshot again, and he's able to hit it. And Okada has to come in and break up the pin. Great match here. Hangman and Okada now stare down, and they exchange forearms. Page blocks a tombstone attempt, and then Page drops or dodges a drop kick as well. So Page having a really good match, and Page able to counter and hit a German and then a discus lariat on Okada. Adam Cole now takes out Page and hits him into the ring post. Okada counters a Panama Sunrise attempt into an air raid crash. That looked nice. Okada then sets Cole up and hits a beautiful elbow drop off the top rope. The crowd's going wild now. Rainmaker pose and the camera pans back. Hangman then saves Cole and Cole takes out Page. So I don't know, a lot going on here. Okada then takes 2 super kicks from Adam Cole, but barely gets his shoulder up for a 2 count. Cole then runs into an Okada drop kick, and Okada goes for the Rainmaker, but Adam Cole is able to counter it with another super kick, and then another drop kick by Okada at this point. Okada hits a driver into another attempt for a Rainmaker, but Jay White out of nowhere hits a Blade Runner on Okada. Okada rolls out of the ring. Jay White covers Adam Cole. 1, 2, 3. And that is the end of the match. Your winner and still champion, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Switchblade Jay White, and it was somewhat of a weird, clunky, anticlimactic ending. And immediately as I was thinking that, JR says, "Well, that was kind of an anticlimactic ending to a great match." So weird ending, but like you said, great match. Jay White celebrates. Let me get a quick drink. But yeah, great match here. We all pretty much assumed Jay White would win, and we all pretty much assumed Adam Cole would take the pinfall. But really weird ending to the match. Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly are walking down the ramp, and they pass by Jay White, shooting him dirty looks as they pass by. And the announcers are saying that Cole might be injured, and Jay noticed that, and that's when he pinned him, and that's why he pinned him, trying to explain this ending here. But then we're told we don't see it, but we're told Cole got up under his own power. And I did hear that Cole came into this match with like a injury. I don't know how bad, but he was gonna fight through the pain and make sure the match happens. So good job by Adam Cole to tough this out. It's main event time. We get a video package for it. Then we see Moxley walking through the hallway. He's got William Regal with him. Then the entrance, and then he makes his entrance through the crowd with the Wild Thing song playing. And Mox has been waiting 3 years for this one-on-one match with Hiroshi Tanahashi. And Moxley can also become the first ever two-time AEW World Champion, asterisk or not, with the asterisk of it being an interim champion, but it still will count as being the first ever two-time World Champion if Moxley wins. Big cheers for Tanahashi when Tanahashi comes out, but not nearly as big as Okada. Okada was definitely the biggest cheers of the night. And but to be fair, they might just be a little bit worn out from that last match. That last match was hot, and it was a long card as well. So crowd might have been a little bit hotter for Tanahashi if it wasn't for just the last match before it. And the crowd's hot when the bell rings. So good stuff here. Moxley and Tanahashi have a little bit of a feeling out process to start out in this big main event match. Great start here that goes into a striking exchange. Tanahashi gets 2 drop kicks to the knee, so gets those 2 drop kicks, immediately hits a dragon screw leg whip on Moxley, and now Moxley is selling the leg. Tanahashi's able to get a leg lock on Moxley, but Moxley's able to get to the ropes and hits an RKO cutter out of nowhere. Like, I call it an RKO because it was so out of nowhere, but it was just a regular cutter. We get a chop exchange now. Moxley wins it and sets Tana back up on the rope, and Moxley rakes the back. So another match with a back rake. This one's more of the serious version. Moxley goes from the back rake into a hooked superplex off the middle rope. That was really cool looking. Not just a regular vertical superplex. And Tana then kicks out, and the crowd's chanting "You effed up." I thought they were talking about like Tana's gonna get up and beat up Moxley, but I guess something happened in the crowd, and that's why they were chanting "You effed up," because everybody's heads turning to look. But thankfully, they turned back to the match within a few seconds. Moxley hits boots to Tanahashi's face and puts Moxley in the cloverleaf. And this is Tanahashi's finisher of choice. So a little bit of a spit in the face here by Moxley putting the cloverleaf on. And Moxley transitions this into an STF, but Tanahashi's able to get to the ropes. Moxley's now talking trash and paintbrushing Tanahashi on the head. So Tana fights back with another striking exchange. Tana then gets a flying elbow and takes down Moxley. A little bit later on, Tanahashi skins the cat and eats a clothesline as soon as he gets back in the ring by Moxley. So Tanahashi spills to the outside, and Moxley throws Tanahashi into the barricade and yells, "Get the F out of the way," to either the cameraman or more than likely it was to the people sitting at the timekeeper table, because then Tanahashi gets slammed through the table with a big Uranagi from Jon Moxley. So now Tanahashi's definitely looking in rough shape, and the announcers say his head might have hit the chair that's sitting next to the table. And Tanahashi's definitely having trouble getting up. The referee's count gets all the way to 9, but Tanahashi gets in just in time, and Moxley looks a little bit upset about this. Moxley then talks some more trash and said he's the ace while kicking Tanahashi right in the chest. But Tana counters the very next kick and goes for the dragon screw leg whip. But Mox then counters this into another submission. Tana gets free and then stomps Moxley in the face with his arms trapped. Kind of like how Blackpool Combat Club does to other people. Tanahashi does that to Moxley here. Moxley then spills out of the ring after a sling blade, and Moxley is bleeding profusely everywhere out of his head. There's blood everywhere. Tana hits the aces high from the top rope to the outside, and Moxley's just covered in the red stuff. It is a bad cut. I'll just try to figure out when this happened. The only thing they could think of is the stomps by Tanahashi. And Moxley's definitely having trouble seeing. He's trying to wipe his eyes. It's probably stinging like a son of a. And but he's able to bait Tanahashi in while holding his eyes. And Tana reverses into a paradigm shift, or Tana reverses a paradigm shift, but Moxley hits it on his second attempt. So the paradigm shift was hit, and Tana's able to kick out and then gets knees to Moxley's open wound on the head. So no mercy here from Tanahashi. Tanahashi goes to the top rope and hits the aces high again, this time just in the ring, not the outside. And then he goes for the high fly flow, but he hits it, but Tanahashi's momentum carries him past Moxley, and it takes too long to cover. Moxley's able to kick out, immediately locking in the Bulldog choke. Don't forget, he's just got the red stuff everywhere. And Tanahashi gets out of this. There's a bunch of counters now, and another striking exchange, ended by a massive Moxley lariat that sends Tanahashi inside out. Tanahashi kicks out of this at 1, and the crowd goes crazy. So great stuff here. Moxley then hits the repeated elbows over and over to the chest / neck / face region, then locks in a rear naked choke. Tana does not give up as the crowd's chanting as they're chanting "Go Ace," and Tana able to get to his feet, and then Moxley immediately transitions this into the Death Rider, which is basically the super version of the the paradigm shift of the super version. 1, 2, 3, and new interim AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, and there's just blood everywhere. The crowd's cheering Mox. We get they desperately wanted Tanahashi to win, but they're a classy crowd and probably one of the best crowds I've seen in the world in a long time. Great stuff. Great card overall. It's not quite over yet. Blood and Guts is Wednesday, and Moxley's now going to have to go in the Blood and Guts with like 15 to 20 stitches in his forehead, which is going to be crazy. Moxley shows Tanahashi respect by pointing, and then they get up and talk it out, almost hug, but mostly just showing respect here. Out of nowhere, Jericho and Daniel Garcia, of all people, run out, attacks both Tanahashi and Moxley. Santana Ortiz and Yuta make the save, but then the rest of Jericho Appreciation Society. So I write down, is someone going to make an appearance, or is this to set up Dynamite? And then, oh no, it's a big spot set up for Claudio to make the save. I forgot that he's added to this Blood and Guts match. And I again note that, especially noted here where Claudio's making the big save at the end of the pay-per-view, Claudio's music is terrible, especially terrible in a big serious moment here. But Claudio takes out Jericho first, and then takes out any of the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society that wasn't already taken out by Pride and Powerful and Yuta and stuff. Regal now casually strolls out with a cheeky smile, and Claudio does over 20 swings to Cool Hand Ange. So that's what I was saying earlier. Even more ammo for the J Cast and a lot of the NJPW diehards to be mad about the Zach thing. Oh, Zach was able to hurt your arm long enough in the match to only do 6 swings, but miraculously in an hour and a half or however long an hour, you can do 20 swings now. Like, really underselling Zach's submissions here. And even more ammo for them to be mad about the treatment of Zack Sabre Jr. in this match. I don't think we'll ever see Zack Sabre Jr. in AEW again. For us to get that unless they pay huge bucks for like a Forbidden Door event next year and we get that match. But otherwise, I could see Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. happening in Japan and not America, especially after. I agree more. someone had to lose and someone had to win in the actual match. But yeah, Claudio doing the 20 swings here, or over 20, when he should be selling the arm, it is a little bit of a joke. But yeah, after Claudio does that, him and Kingston have a little bit of an awkward stare down, and that sets up the story for Blood and Guts as the pay-per-view ends. So just gotta say, great pay per view. Everything I could imagine. Of course, we wanted Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. No CM Punk. All kinds of other injuries. All kinds of other curses. We didn't get to see Ishii or Hiromu like they were scheduled and stuff like that. But overall, just a great show. Great matches throughout. Even the buy-in had great matches. Like Nick Camarado had a weirdly good match with Lance Archer. But yeah, just going back to this very end. Setting up we all knew it was going to be Claudio Castagnoli because it just fit way too perfect with the whole Daniel Bryan had a replacement, needed him to be replaced. So Cesaro can hang with like a technical guy. He can also be in a brawling type hardcore match. And then also, Daniel Bryan doesn't get along with Kingston, and Daniel Bryan knows that Claudio doesn't get along with Kingston. And this hasn't been said on AEW television yet. Of course, Claudio's only just got here, but this has been set up at least 3 or 4 months ago, whenever Cesaro was a free agent. I'm not sure how long ago that was now, but Eddie Kingston was already starting stuff on Twitter about how they had beef, and if you plan up showing up here, like I'm gonna beat you up and stuff like that. So, just like how Kingston and Bryan Danielson were feuding, Claudio is gonna come right in and probably feud, probably leading to Moxley having to choose between Kingston or the Blackpool Combat Club at a point when this Blood and Guts is over with. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. Sorry if I didn't bring a ton of energy. I kind of lost my energy halfway through uh, the event. It is 1:45 in the morning right now. Um, but yeah, overall, love the show. I'm gonna get going, and I hope to bring you better and more exciting reviews in the future. I review all the WWE, AEW, NJPW, as well as NWA, MLW, and Impact, all on this channel. So check that out, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night for the Raw review. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully I'll check out the post-show scrum, the media scrum, when I can, but probably a lot of news is going to come out of that. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.